tonight. I don't have a set system down on how and when to do this. The guru specific time, all the time, go live, set same time every day, multiple times a day, once a week. All that's good. I'm just not there yet. I just do what I feel led to do in the moment, and uh, and that's going to be when God's ready. What elevates me as He brings the connections and resources together. It's not going to have anything to do with me or how I did it or my hustle agenda. Okay, it's just going to be as He led me, and just leave the consequences up to Him. I just need to obey Him and leave the consequences up to Him. So we'll just give it maybe 30 more seconds. If anybody jumps on here, great. If nobody jumps on here, great. It's 9:35 at night. Just did a quick little cursory study of something I want to do deeper study on. It's part of our programs we're trying to put together. And this is going to ultimately be one of our foundation programs and teachings. So this is the actual very first attempt at looking at this particular topic. It's been on my mind for several months. It's just one of those things. I mean, I got a whole board listed here of ideas, over 30 different ideas, and just finding the time and being disciplined enough and still resting in God. Things tend to be a little slower, and I certainly don't have it all down. But in 2 Corinthians chapter 10:4, we hear that word strongholds. Okay, so I want to deal with the idea of strongholds. This is just going to be extremely elementary, extremely introductory with tonight, just to give you an idea of where this is going, and for those of you who want to learn how to study the Bible, I'm going to give you an example of what I'm doing tonight, okay, and what we came through. So just a brief little study that I did. I wrote some notes down. We're going to go to it. So the idea of strongholds. So get your King James Bible and go to 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4. 2 Corinthians 10:4. Let's see, we got Isaiah and James and Yamabi, and hey, this is just going to be a short little 10-minute Bible study introduction to one of our foundational programs we're trying to put together. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, for though we walk in the flesh, we do not war after the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. So the foundation, just in my, this is what I did. Okay, I read that. We are at war. And you've got to look at the way things were going on when God put His Word together. And wartime, 1,000, 2,000 years ago is different than wartime today. But we are at war. We are at war. And then it says we have weapons. Okay, there are weapons. There are things at our disposal, weapons that God gives us to fight this war. Carnal here. Our weapons are not carnal. Carnal, fleshly. Carnal is not always necessarily bad. It's just of the flesh. And this warfare we're in is not with the flesh. It's not carnal. But then he says, but mighty. So he uses the word carnal. So I'm just writing these things down, and I'm going to study them out later. What does carnal mean? What does mighty mean? Just in context, carnal is the opposite of mighty. But mighty. So just that reading alone, at some level, carnal is the opposite. Certain phrases down, through God. Okay, what does through God mean? And this is how I encourage you all to study. Write these phrases down in your first cursory look at Scripture. Just write. Just go from period to period or comma to comma or point to point. Just write line upon line to have initial thoughts of something you can go back to and look at later. To the pulling down of strongholds. That's the foundational thought in this program we're putting together. But he's talking about the pulling down of strongholds. So I write that down. What does the pulling down of strongholds mean? What are strongholds? And so there's going to be a big aspect of these lessons we put together where we dive deep into what strongholds actually are and what the spiritual application of them is. Casting down imaginations. We get down to verse 5. Part of this battle is casting down imaginations. God gave us an imagination. Not all imagination is evil. Not all imagination is good. We've got to learn to use our imagination for God. And through the pulling down of strongholds, we can get rid of the wrong imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself. What does that mean? I write it down. Every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God. So those two phrases, the knowledge of God, what does that mean? These bad things and making them captive. Okay, casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalteth itself against the knowledge of God and bringing into captivity every thought to the obedience of Christ. So we're pulling down strongholds, we're getting control of our thoughts, we're getting them to be glorifying to God, every thought to the obedience of Christ. So I wrote down 1, 2, 3, 4 state